hearing them speak to one another. And radio communication is one of the most important things. Actually, when it comes to comms, you always want to say less. So you can hear them using very simple words, 3, 4 words. They just want to keep those airwaves clear so that the most important vital communication.
I can really see the sun now.
So they're making sure they hunker down. You see them surround him. He goes down to the ground. They all surround him. Again, when you're an agent, you're supposed to be a human shield. And in that moment, that is what they become. They become human shields. Your job in that moment is to protect your protectee, whoever that protectee is. So they all encompass him. And the other thing you do, you are designed to actually make yourself as big as possible to make sure that any potential rounds or shots that come, you don't want them to miss you and hit your protectee. So as they're hunkered down, they're locking him down. And if you look at the shot, actually, there's a shot where you can see the front of the stage, and around it you'll see that design, that almost like a smaller, like a design berry. There's a shot where you can see the front.
Okay, guys.
Strong and sturdy. It could be concrete or steel. Usually it's some type of steel. And that
Isaiah, Robbie, what's up, Bessie? I just want to bring this just got told to me just the last minute. When I was on the way home, I was getting some stuff at Winn-Dixie, and my driver who brought.
Let's stand at that podium, and we believe this is in Delaware. Somebody can confirm for me. He will address the nation.
And President Biden is supposed to be addressing the nation soon, also.
Apparently wounded former President Trump, who is said to be okay.
But supposedly, Trump was doing a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, and supposedly I was told to one of my drivers on the way home that former President Donald Trump got injured. I don't know if he got shot at or what. Oh, now President Biden's saying something. I'll get back. Listen to this.
Apparently he's doing well. I plan on talking to him shortly, I hope.
Now President Biden's talking.
To the telephone. Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this.
President Biden right now is addressing the nation, talking now.
And I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have been engaged in making sure that the people and we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. I may be able to come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if I'm not able to give it if it's not convenient for you all. But the bottom line
now he's talking since this happened.
The Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of.
Biden speaks after shots fired at Trump rally.
Everybody must condemn it. Everybody.
What?
I'll keep you informed, and if I'm able to speak to Donald, I'll let you know that as well. But so far, it appears he's doing well. Number one. Number two, that there's thoroughly investigating what happened to anyone else in the audience. We have some reports, but not final reports. And every agency in the federal government, I'm going back to my phone to speak with the federal agencies that are being put together again to give me an updated briefing. Has anything happened? They learned more in the last couple hours. So thank you very much, and I hope I get to speak to them tonight, and I'll get you back to you if I do. Okay?
In Raybould Beach, Delaware.
I don't know enough to. I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts. So I want to make sure we have all the facts before I make any more comments. Thank you.
Are you worried with the security failing?
The president stopping short of calling this an assassination attempt, but noting that he plans to talk to Donald Trump, and that his understanding is
people holding signs at his rally. Joe Biden, you're fired.
President Biden speaking out.
Ooh, they all ducked it. Wow.
Violence, saying there's no room for this.
People screaming.
And as we had reported a few moments ago, the Biden campaign moving to take down
Someone tried to, T.W. Hamilton, what's up? I know, someone tried to shoot Trump, I know.
We know that the president couldn't.
And President Joe Biden just made a speech addressing the nation from, I guess he was in Delaware. And we're covering to you guys all this stuff that happened at the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. And supposedly, I guess, Joe Biden is going to be talking to federal agencies or Donald Trump or... But the person who shot Trump is dead. One spectator dead, another injured shooter. The shooter who shot Donald Trump is now pronounced dead.
Damn. He did say he had tried to speak with the former president, who he referred to as Donald. He also noted, Lester, that he is receiving thorough, robust briefings from his national security team, from his federal agencies, and that will undoubtedly continue throughout the night. The White House will undoubtedly need to.
This just came to my attention into my network here just recently.
Working to pull down all of their ads as the Trump campaign is in a media blackout, and it speaks to, Lester, the seriousness of this moment, the gravity of this moment, the fact that
they're all carrying him, bringing him over to the SUV.
This act of political violence,
I guess Joe Biden and his people found out about it.
Tolerated, and it does come as everyone is prepared.
I know, T. I know.
Convention, another event.
This world's become a very violent and crazy nation.
Quite strong, quite large, getting into.
But they said supposedly he's being seen right now.
Going through magnetiles, making sure that no one is.
I had to make sure I had to come live on the air to cover this.
But again, Lester, this just underscores, I think, that something fundamental has really shifted in our American politics.
Yeah, it's certainly, the threat has been talked about, but to see it play out on this scale.
And you can see him holding his fist up as they're bringing him to the SUV. And he's getting in the SUV before he gets back in the SUV. He's going like this also.
To our colleague Peter Nicholas, that listen, you heard President Biden say he tried to reach former President Trump on the phone. We know that the former president's son has spoken with him in a statement saying they just talked on the phone, with Donald Trump Jr. saying that his dad is in great spirits, that he will never stop fighting to save America, no matter what in Donald Trump Jr.'s words, no matter what the radical left throws at him. So what we can glean from this, a couple of things, that former President Trump is, as his campaign says, fine. He is well enough to speak. He is well enough to be on the phone, at least with his immediate family members, at least with his son, Donald Trump Jr. We know that he is receiving medical treatment at a local facility with this rally happening, of course, in Butler, Pennsylvania. And we know that there has been a slew of reaction, as Kristen, as you, as others have talked about.
Well, supposedly President Joe Biden's former President Donald Trump's son has spoke to Joe Biden on the phone.
Keep you updated as we get more.
All right, Pally, thank you. Kip Tom, former U.S. ambassador to UN. The UN was just a few yards from the former president when the shots rang out.
So Trump's going to be okay?
Thank you for joining us, sir. Can you tell us what you saw?
I guess.
You got to see this, guys, what I'm seeing right here.
The president a few moments earlier before he came on stage, and everything seemed like a normal day. But when he walked down that red carpet and walked up to the podium, and after he spoke for about 10 minutes, I was sitting in the front row at the end of the runway, but all of a sudden these shots broke out, and I think there was people that actually thought it was possibly fireworks, but I seen the gun smoke, and obviously
they all ducked down.
Behind me that was hit. So I think severely wounded at the least. But nonetheless, the crowd stayed pretty calm for the most part. And but you know, it sounded like there was 6-7 shots to start with, and then it seemed like there was a little pause, and then we heard a different caliber gun fired, which I assume was probably the Secret Service. But then I thought I heard another couple rounds come off, but it felt like it was behind me. But it could have been the echo.
Hope you guys can hear this.
Did you hear did President Trump say anything?
No, he was just giving the typical rally speech that he typically does everywhere.
Like this is a last-minute thing, or this thing was planned?
talking about his plan for America.
But as the shots rang out, did he cry out? Did someone tell him to get down, or was it instinctive?
Yeah, we heard that. We heard everybody say get down, but I think he was already going down. That's when everybody thought at first maybe he had been hit more severely than he was. I mean, it's already severe. And let's face it, it hit his ear. It could have been a little bit closer. It could have been disastrous. But when he went down to the ground and he got up, he put his fist up in the air or his hand up in the air.
I just posted on Truth Soul. Pretty sure he knows about
it. At least it appears to be a lot of people in that crowd. By now, you have heard that one spectator was killed and others critically wounded. Has it settled in of how close a brush everybody in that arena is?
This is some big, huge news, guys.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's interesting listening to the
and you can hear those gunshots.
The scene and what was going through my mind, and of course being a little older than many of those that were there, but I was recalling the Kennedy assassinations and some of the other attempts that were made during my lifetime, and I was recalling those and thinking about those, and then moving forward to where we're at today, and we still have a problem with this, so it's shocking, but most people are pretty upset. There's no question about it.
Understandably, Ambassador. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. We're glad you and yours are safe after this tonight.
Pretty sure a lot of Trump supporters are upset. So he's gonna. Well, I guess we're gonna see if he's gonna be okay. Oh, he got shot by law enforcement. Shooter. I guess he wasn't going to go to jail.
How will they begin to get, at least put the dots together?
Yeah, well, let's start with the deceased shooter, Lester, and identify him, and then, sweep his personal devices, phone, computer, etc., for, associates, Confederates, and start interviewing around the circle around him.
I guess he was already ducking down before they even said to get down.
It appears that maybe the shooter. It seems like to me, watching the video closely, that the first
he was in the middle, speaking at the podium when it happened.
President Trump reacts.
Hey Jim, let me just stop you for a second. I just received a new piece of information that I want to get your thoughts on. We're now from a confirmed source that the shooter was actually firing from outside the perimeter. That changes a lot in terms of the security posture at these things, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, but what's surprising to me is that a shooter could get in an elevated position at any kind of a Secret Service event, because the first thing that the service does is they get all the elevated positions, and they put their sniper teams up there and lookouts with binoculars and rifles. So, it does seem from the witnesses that this was a distant shot now, that the reason the shot wasn't as loud, it was further off in the distance. And it looked like, watching the video, Lester, closely,
be nice for my one buddy to tune in on YouTube.
His head to the right. The first shot or second shot, the first pop or two, is when he grabs his right.
Been getting some new fans here down by the pool too.
Volition goes down, squats down, but he doesn't fall down. He just squats down.
This is probably going to be in the news for some days, for a while.
Also hunching down as a normal reaction to gunfire, and then there's more rounds right after that. There's maybe another 5 rounds. And Dasha Burns had a witness that she just interviewed, and he talked about he counted 7 rounds, and that was close. I don't know, you can't tell the exact number. I have to listen to that audio very, very closely, but I mean that sort of jives with what the witness said. So it looks like we had an assassin with a rifle outside the security perimeter. That's why you had mentioned earlier, magnetometers. Well, if you'd ever breached the security perimeter, nobody checks you. And the first shot or second might have been the one intended to kill the former president, but it grazed his right ear.
Yeah, Jim, let me bring back, if I can, Abby Pomporis, a former Secret Service agent again. Abby, thank you for staying with us. I'd like to get your reaction to the fact this person was firing from outside the perimeter. That raises a lot of questions about how these areas are secured.
That's one of the most most difficult things when you do outdoor sites. So when we spoke before, when you look at it this way,
another
when you're
Secret
in a
Service
closed
agent is
environment, even if it's an arena, at least you're in a closed
Secret
environment.
Service agent
I
is
only have to worry about
talking
what's
right
on the inside. When you do open rallies like this, right? You're outside. You
they
have
keep
to worry
showing
about
him he's
line
talking, and
of
next thing
sight
you know, he
issues. Line of
shots and
sight
starts to
is
duck
a
down.
massive problem. Why is it a problem? Because somebody can be out in the distance
Ooh,
and really engage your
would have
target
probably
from
been in the
long
crowd being
from
scared.
any
Everybody in the
range.
crowd
And
ducked
there are
down.
weapons out there that allow you to do this. So even though, let's say you hunker this whole area down, you've got the magnetometers, you've got the tactical element, everything's locked and tight. How do you secure that outer perimeter? How far do you go? And can you cover everything? That's a problem. These are probably, of all the types of advances you can do, these are probably the least favorite among Secret Service agents because you have the inability. And even
I
if
guess the
somebody's
shooter
in
was.
an
I
elevated
guess
position
I
or
guess
not,
he got shot
how
by
do you
law
secure
enforcement.
all those
I guess so.
elevated positions when you
I'd like to
have
find out
weapons
how
with
old
the capabilities that are
around
able
how
to
old
shoot
the
long
shooter was.
distances.
I don't know.
This is what you are up against.
Yeah, and you point about
They said
weapons
they think
that
it was
shoot
trying to
long
be an
distances. We tend to think
assassination.
of those as long guns, things that stand out certainly in a crowd, whether you're, no matter what side of the fence you're on. The fact that this person at some distance was able to strike the former president, does that suggest some
bullshit that
some
he did?
ability?
And they're moving the podium out of the way to get him off the stage.
Interesting to see, right? Because it's hard to speculate at this point. How far was that person? One of
There's
the
like
things that lead me
4
to think
Secret
that this
Service
person was
agents,
at a distance.
4 or 5 secrets around him, getting him off the
Very
stage.
soft, right? It sounds like an echo. That's why so many people mistook it for fireworks. That's why a lot of people weren't sure it was a gunshot. So when you hear the shot like that, it does lead us to believe that it was at a distance, and that's why there's the confusion.
I think you also heard Secret Service more firing gunshots too, trying to protect them.
When you do security for these events, one of the greatest concerns are the people inside and stampede issues. And what I have to acknowledge is all these
everybody's
held steady and fast.
Brandy Rhodes
see people really
even tweeted something.
Don't see people stampeding out because it's
I'm
not
surprised
just the
President Joe Biden talked
attacker
about
of
this.
what's
He
gonna
made
happen.
an address.
The danger a lot
He's
of
in
times
Delaware.
can come from within. So I really have to comment on
Not
everybody's
talking no more.
ability
I
to
hear
stay
you.
put, to
I'm
not
listening to this. I
panic,
can't
and
hear
to
you
allow the
in
Secret
this.
Service.
Secret
and
Service
also
is the
look at
former
where that
president
motor
is
team
safe.
That vehicle where they exit him out, there's people all around, and you see everybody hold their position and allow the security team to evacuate.
Yeah, Evie, thank you for that. I should note several years ago, working on a story for the Today Show, I went to the Secret Service training facility outside of Washington. They put me through a simulation in which I was the protectee, waving to a crowd when shots ring out, and the swiftness of these agents moving around me, getting me in the car and driving off was stunning, even though I knew it was going to come. So the training is obviously something they do. They prepare for these kind of moments. I'm sure there'll be a lot of soul searching about what happened in this case, but impressive group of folks who put their lives on the line for these protectees on a daily basis. Evie, we'll get back to you in a few moments.
They pulled off and brought him right to the hospital.
That rally. She was there when the shots rang out. We're obviously grateful you and the rest of our team are fine. The other journalists.
This reporter is like outside the rally.
2 spectators were hurt, 1 killed, another in critical condition. Dasha, you've had some pretty heart-wrenching interviews today. People saw a lot of things you can't unsee.
Yeah, Lester, that's absolutely right. People who came to a Trump rally, some of them for the first time, looking forward to seeing the former president. There was music playing, people selling merchandise, people eating food, people reuniting with friends here, not expecting anything like this. Let me just set the scene for you right now. We are in the parking lot outside of the venue. Sirkin, our cameraman, is going to show you. People are kind of in a traffic jam right now. This was a one-way in, one-way out kind of road situation.
Everybody's trying to get out.
County
Look at all those
pretty
cars.
rural county. Not a lot of big highways, not a lot of big roads. So people have been, I mean, this is now hours later, and many people still waiting to get out and still waiting and processing everything that they've experienced. I want to introduce you to Tracy, who is stuck in this traffic jam right now. Tracy and Tyler, they're high school friends. They were right there. And Tracy, we've been hearing some of these stories. Can you just walk us through what you saw? Absolutely. President Trump was up there. No, it's these brown ass bugs.
I know you're not the only one. That's why you should get in the pool.
Everybody's on the floor. This is why I don't like to go night swimming. It was just like, what? And
You stop.
were on the ground level. We were 4 rows back from the stage. Oh my God. Are you coming? We'll just follow along with you. They're moving in the car here, so we'll just follow the stage. And the people in the bleachers behind us, somebody got popped. Somebody got killed. Somebody died. Somebody got shot. Like, this close to where we were. Those bullets, I pray to God for these people's families. Oh my God. But how is this happening in our country today? And why? Why is it happening? Why? And Tracy, you were telling me earlier, you and Tyler, you know this county, you know this area. Did you ever think something like this would happen here? At night? Never. Absolutely never.
That's why you better have a bus break.
Shows you how much hate and hostility is in our world today. This is not a good thing. We need to all come together as a human race, We need to help each other out. Can you describe this area, this county, this place that you and Tyler grew up? Tyler? Cows, chickens. This is farmland. This is farmland here.
It's the county seat, but most of the county is farmland.
Stop putting words in my mouth.
Well, it is true.
Okay.
Tracy,
you're gonna we
now, talked about, often
I'm live. You're gonna keep telling me I like it. Good night, Tara. I'm done.
Celebrate, to see the former president. They're coming in with a pretty excited attitude. Can you walk me through what you came in with and what you're coming out with? I came in with hope and excitement. If you have ever been to a Trump rally? Oh, we cover them all the time. Well, how does it make you feel? How does it make you feel? How are you feeling? It makes me feel absolutely great and wonderful. In my heart, I feel that this man really wants to help our country because I really feel that. I honest to God, I do, because this country for so long seems to be going down a path that it really shouldn't be doing. So, you came in to hear the former president speak, someone you're a fan of, and what is your state of mind now?
President John Dushki.
Not good. There's too much hate. This is too much. We can't do this as a country. We can't do this. We need to come together as a country, and God willing, we will. I don't know if you're allowed to put that stuff on, but listen, man, my kid is a 4th-year seminarian, and he prays for this country every day. My child. Casey, thank you so much. I'm so glad you and Tyler are safe. Drive safe. We hope you get home soon. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks, guys. Lester, they've got a ways to go still. There's a lot of cars piling up here. There are a few different places that people are trying to exit at this point. A bit of a free-for-all, but people have been kind and generous to one another. People letting cars in that are trying to come in. And again, just reeling from what they witnessed. Some people very much firsthand, very much very, very close to the tragedy that we're describing from sort of the law enforcement point of view, the high level point of view. But at the end of the day, Lester, the people who were here on the ground, particularly those who were close to that violence, it's something they are never going to forget, and it is now associated, of course, with politics, with the state of our democracy for so many of the people that we've been talking to, Lester.
All right, Dasha, thanks. We'll continue to go to you as you get those riveting accounts from folks. NBC News campaign embed joining us on the phone now. She is in Butler, Pennsylvania, near the hospital where there is heavy law enforcement presence. NBC News has not confirmed that the former president is at that hospital, but it's 15 minutes away from where the rally took place. Jillian Franco's there. What are you seeing?
Lester, that's right. I'm across the street
entry from Butler Memorial Hospital. And as you mentioned, we do not yet have confirmation that this is where former President Donald Trump was taken, but there's a heavy law enforcement presence here. Media was across the street. We're shortly getting moved. The hospital is set up on a hillside, and there's law enforcement at the top of the hill looking down. There's also law enforcement at the top of the roof of the hospital itself. When I arrived, there was a helicopter circling the building, heavy police presence here, Lester. When I pulled up, I asked the officer how they were doing. He said they're hanging in there. Obviously, a terrifying scene here in Butler tonight. Lester?
Yeah, the access road is cut off to this area.
It is. We are not allowed to go up there. The police vehicles have moved, but we're not allowed to.
They're not exactly sure, but they think he may be in Butler Memorial Hospital. It's not confirmed that he's in that hospital.
Momentarily.
But this is a big police presence outside.
All right, Jillian, thanks very much. Again, we haven't had correct me if I'm wrong from the control room, but I don't think we've had a complete description of the wound suffered by the former president. We have all seen the blood coming out from near his ear, his right ear. Somebody described as a teardrop of blood, of fresh blood. It appears he might have been grazed by the bullet, but again, we haven't received a complete medical terminology description of the wound, but it does appear that he was certainly hit during all of this. He's largely under his own power, certainly being escorted down to the armored vehicle, but again, seems to be doing okay. In fact, we heard from President Biden a while ago who said that he appears to be okay. We should note that President Biden says he will be trying to call former President Trump at some point here in the not too distant future. And there the signal of triumph from former President Trump as he was put into that armored car and taken to, we believe, quite possibly the hospital we were just showing you a moment ago. Our investigative correspondent, Tom Winter, is with us. He continues to dig out fresh details. What more can you tell us, Tom?
Lester, a couple of these things coming from official statements from law enforcement, or for 3 to 4 law enforcement officials, to myself and our colleague Jonathan Dienst. We know that the FBI is now on scene and is assisting the United States Secret Service along with the U.S. Attorney's Office in their investigation into this shooting today at the Trump rally. You were just asking a question about whether we know whether or not the former president was shot directly, either grazed in the ear or in the cheek, or whether or not this was a ricochet. That's something that they're still trying to get a handle on, and whether or not a piece of glass was what may have struck him. But either way, he obviously, from the photographs, was struck in some fashion by something. The other information that we were being told, and I'm going to bring in the reporting of my colleague Kelly O'Donnell on this as well, is that the shooting happened outside the Secret Service perimeter. So for folks that have attended any sort of political rally involving either party, involving a presidential candidate or a former president, you'll notice that if you go that you are wanded, or you have to go through a magnetometer, kind of like an airport style security, if you will. That happens within the perimeter of the event. In leading up to the event, the U.S. Secret Service goes through the event site itself to make sure that there's nothing nefarious stored inside, that nobody's hiding out and waiting for a rally to begin. And they try to establish a perimeter that would allow them to be able to have a real control over the event. So what we're being told is that this shooting happened outside of that secure perimeter from a high point. Specifically where it is, I can't yet tell you. We're waiting to hear about that, but that's some of the information that we're waiting to get on. As far as what you're looking at on screen, at the moments that this happened, this is standard protocol. You're looking at the heavy weapons teams that immediately went up on stage. Then you're looking at the Secret Service close protection.
Hold on, guys. I'm going to walk off for a minute.
Of former President Trump, and this would be very similar at any event involving a former president, that they immediately surround him. Obviously, the Secret Service agents there are putting their lives into their hands if this individual was going to continue to fire. Speaking of the individual that law enforcement believes is deceased, that individual, the alleged shooter rather, is deceased, as I mentioned. That individual may have been shot by law enforcement. That appears to be coming into clarity at this time. We're still waiting on the specific details of that, whether or not that was a counter sniper team or somebody who was close to him, I suspect we'll get more details on that closely. As far as who did this and what their motivations are, there's some background information coming into view, Lester. But as you can imagine, there are a lot of names on social media at this hour. There are a lot of names that have been mentioned to us, and we're really trying to get a lot more clarity on that before we suggest a possible name of the individual who did this. But at this point, there appears to be no ongoing threat, and there's no indication that they're looking for anybody else. But this is now a full-blown federal criminal investigation, as you can imagine, and they will certainly try to determine whether this individual had any help. Not that we've received any indication of that, but that's obviously something that they will look into. And the type of rifle that can be used, as you would imagine, to fire from outside the perimeter to get close to that stage would be some sort of a high-powered rifle. The specific nature of that is, again, details that we're still waiting to get, Lester.
All right, Tom, thanks very much. Let me go to Kristen Welker now in our Washington, D.C. bureau, who has more. Kristen?
Well, Lester, just to reset for everyone, we are tracking the ongoing investigation that Tom was just talking about in the wake of former President Trump having been rushed off the stage after shots were fired at the Pennsylvania rally where he was speaking. To set the scene for everyone, the day started with the anticipation, the questions swirling about whether this might be the event where he announced his nominee for vice president. Obviously now the mood, the tone, the focus has shifted to this horrific act of political violence that unfolded at this Pennsylvania rally. President Biden did address the nation just a short time ago, saying this is unheard of. Everybody must condemn it. He said he had tried to speak with the former president, had not been able to, but is continuing those attempts. He's also getting briefed. I want to go to our senior White House correspondent, Kelly O'Donnell, who is following all of this along with us. Kelly, what's the latest there?
Well, from the Biden White House perspective, this is a moment for trying to get information to the president. He, of course, is in charge of the Department of Justice and the Secret Service that are, of course, the agencies that will be working on this. There is always a careful separation between the executive and the law enforcement capabilities, but that's why the Biden White House has a critical role to play to provide the resources at the federal level to investigate this.
Hold on, guys.
The president indicated he also recognizes the state and local officials are very much...
Sorry, there's just a lot of bugs on the set here at the pool. So what tape? Where do you want to go?
You can go over there if you want.
Hold on, guys. Stand by. Hold on. It was fine for a while.
I know. I wonder why I don't like it.
Well, this is the worst it's ever been.
I know. Ugh. Now you wonder why I don't like to be down here.
Well, it's never been.
I know. It's never been this bad. I know.
Like we get bit, but this is the worst.
Yeah, I know. I don't.
Guess I'll turn this off. Yep.
You don't want to hear it. Good night. What next steps there should be, and are all the resources there? Even a question about where does former President Trump go in the immediate hours ahead? He, of course, was on the road as a candidate in Pennsylvania. What is the immediate plan for his next steps? Presidents and former presidents have not only a lot of security around them, but often their homes have additional security as well. So finding a way to safely transport him, making certain of his medical situation, and then the necessary communication between the White House and the former president. Those are the things we're watching. Kristen?
Kelly O'Donnell at the White House for us. Kelly, thank you. And as you have been speaking, Kelly, we are watching these chilling, horrifying images of the former president rushed off the stage, bloodied, defiant, that traditional fist pump that Donald Trump is known for as he is whisked away to get medical care. Lester Holt is back with us. Lester.
Kristen Welker, thank you. NBC's Dasha Burns is just outside that Trump rally. She was there when the shots rang out, and she is now in a sea of traffic of people still trying to leave that area. Many with some pretty horrific stories to tell. Dasha?
Yeah, Lester, that's exactly right. We've been talking to people who are stuck in this traffic jam and are processing what they just witnessed. I want you to hear now from, remind me your name, ma'am?
Vanessa Asher.
Vanessa Asher. Vanessa, you were very close to the former president when this happened. Can you describe to me where you were and what you saw?
We were 6 rows back, right in front of his podium, straight back. And he was talking about his chart on this side, and he put his directly at his chart, went over to him, he was shot. And if he would not have looked at his other chart, it probably would have got him in the head.
So he turned his head just in the nick of time.
Yes, he did. He in the nick of time.
And Lester, let me just explain to you, and I want to follow up with you more, Vanessa, but this is what we were talking about earlier. I'll send it back to you, Lester.
I apologize. Things are moving quickly here. We're apparently hearing from the former president himself.
Really?
Hallie Jackson has it. Hallie?
It is a new post on his online platform, Truth Social, Lester, in which the former president says, and I will read this in full, because obviously this is the first time that we are now hearing from the former president himself since this incident at his rally in Butler. He says, I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Most importantly, the former president continues, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed, and also to the family of another person that was badly injured. He goes on to say, it is incredible that such an act can take place in our country. He also adds, nothing is known at this time about the shooter who is now dead. The former president says he was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. You're looking at that online post now. So he is confirming, he says that he was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of his right ear. He says, I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. Much bleeding took place, so I realized then what was happening. And he ends this post by saying, God bless America. So, Lester, some significant questions that are being answered now from the former president here.
He just wrote, she just wrote what he wrote on his Truth Social platform.
State of mind, and again, significant in that he is describing in rather
and he felt something was wrong, something was going to happen.
When he says that bullet went through his ear, he heard the whizzing sound. You're seeing some of these images now, including some that are being circulated by his allies with the former president, his fist raised in the air. He said he felt the bullet ripping through the skin with a lot of bleeding taking place. What we don't know now is where the former president, is headed next. We understand that he is obviously getting treated at that local medical facility. We know from his son, and I will tell you from other sources that I've spoken with, that he appears to be in good spirits. That is what folks are being being told and that his son, who has spoken with him directly, says. And you see the former president able to, obviously, in these videos, this images we've been showing, able to move, able to pump his fist, but you see the blood that he's talking about there on his right ear as the former president is describing what happened. Important to note here, he is also, of course, extending condolences to the person who was hurt, the person who was believed to be killed there, and thanking law enforcement for their incredibly fast response. And you saw the response, Lester, in one of these remarkable moments as it unfolded. In some quarters, in some places online, there was a live stream of this happening. Obviously, the cameras of every network in the country were on this, given that he is the
shooter won't be going to jail or get caught.
This happened, right? And you see the absolute
Trump says the bullet pierced his upper part of his right ear.
From Jillian, from Jake, and Bianca, and our teams there as the rest of it unfolded there. So
I still can't believe this happened tonight.
The president himself posted, as Donald Trump is wont to do, posted on an online platform there on Truth Social. As
his daughter Ivanka Trump just tweeted something?
As quickly as he can, it appears, to the American people that he appears to be okay, that he's extending his condolences, and specifically what happened, as he says, that bullet hit his ear, Lester.
Now they're coming over here.
It's not as bad as it is back there.
That first description.
But I see
well, it's not. It's not as bad.
Our senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell joins us.
It's probably going to be some big news for a while.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to go to Garrett Hake right now. Garrett?
Lester, in reading that statement from Donald Trump, confirming that, in fact, he was shot in this incident in Butler tonight, I think about the times that I've discussed his safety.
Trump said, I felt the bullet ripping through his skin.
And there has always been tension and awareness in the minds of Donald Trump's campaign staff, even at senior levels, of the risk that he takes every time he goes out. Campaign officials will tell you that he gets an enormous amount of threats, frankly, as many politicians do across the political spectrum. And the campaign has worked across this very long period of time since he first announced more than a year ago that he would be running for president to balance, in some cases, his desire to hold these kind of mega rallies, these huge outdoor events, with his personal safety. They are very cautious about using what is known in the industry as OTR stops, the idea of him appearing at short notice in certain locations where folks cannot necessarily be screened in the same manner that they are by the Secret Service at events like this. And, you know, any presidential campaign thinks about the candidate's safety. It's a major part of the job. You work with the Secret Service for that reason. But this has been front and center in the minds of campaign staffers going back really since before the launch of this campaign. Obviously, an unusual campaign in the sense that here is someone who has never not had Secret Service protection from the moment he was first sworn in 2017 through this moment. And I think looking ahead now, and this is something that we're trying to report out, is what, if anything, is going to change about the Republican convention next week? Obviously, the former president was set to arrive there on Monday morning. He was expected to be in Milwaukee across those 4 days. These conventions, as many of our viewers know, are very much high security situations. Downtowns locked down days in advance. Very difficult to go in or out. What will change in the security, and what will change in the messaging of this convention? We've already seen some of Donald Trump's allies, perhaps most notably his son, Eric Trump, making use of that image on your screen right now, the fist pump from Donald Trump in the moments after. We now know that he was shot, to say that this is the fighter America needs, in the words of Eric Trump and in the words of many of his allies, where I think, you know, setting aside the moment that we're in right now, and especially knowing from the former president's own now his own fingertips, I suppose, that he's going to be okay.
It's never been this bad.
As a fighter, he's so central to his political identity, so central to his campaign strategy, and something that I'm sure will be incorporated into whatever we see of the convention next week. What changes might be taking place right now, it's very difficult to say. The campaign is on a complete lockdown, not talking to the press.
No, I'm sorry.
What's going on with their candidate and what their next steps will be tomorrow and in the days ahead.
It's never been this bad.
All right, we're looking at a motorcade leaving a nearby hospital that has been under heavy security here since all this happened. We have not received confirmation that former President Trump has been treated there.
But we did just see it looked like a small motorcade leaving the area, so we'll continue to monitor that picture. Garrett, why have you here? Let's talk about what is likely on the minds of a lot of people. I mean, certainly we're looking at a case where there's been a loss of life. Another spectator has been seriously injured. But this comes as the country and Democrats are still wrestling with the issues over the President Biden's performance in the debate. And now this, I guess it'll take some days to play out as to whether we're looking at another reset and changing how people view this campaign.
Motive was
I think
maybe
that's right, Lester.
kill him so he can't make it in office.
On exactly what will go forward now. I can only say where it has come to now, and the campaigns that I've covered in the past, the level of intense focus and scrutiny on this presidential election here in early July is very unusual, especially for an election, I think, that a lot of people had kind of tuned out of. Essentially a battle of two incumbents, two people hugely unpopular outside of their own political bases. There was the question of whether Joe Biden would continue in this race after that debate, historically early debate, and now an intense focus on Donald Trump, on political violence. We know nothing yet about the shooter or his or her motivations. We know nothing yet about exactly why this event took place. But we know the political climate that we're in has been incredibly heated, going back for years. I cover Congress.
Don't tell me I'm not.
My other role at this network, and the threat level in Congress has been a huge boost.
Well, I didn't know it was going to get like this.
By several factors over more threats against members. So the political environment has changed in that sense, and the heat is turned up to a level that we're just not used to seeing in the summer, which is often the doldrums of a presidential campaign. The deep stakes speculation.
I'm trying to cover something. I'm wanting to watch this.
Talking about right now, news only for the most dialed in of the political viewers out there. Now all of a sudden we're talking about what appears to be what is being investigated as, according to our reporting, as an attempt on the life of a nominee or soon-to-be nominee of the presidency of the United States. The phrase that we are in uncharted waters is completely worn out, Lester, but here we find it once again perhaps the most appropriate way to view our political dynamic.
It certainly says it in so many ways. Thank you, Garrett. Let's bring in our senior Washington correspondent, Allie Jackson. You have received a statement from the Secret Service. What are they saying right now?
Yeah, a new statement now, putting on the record officially, Lester, what our team has reported.
What the hell just happened?
Yeah, and they say a suspected shooter fired multiple shots toward the stage from an elevated position outside of the rally venue. They say that Secret Service personnel neutralized the shooter, who is now deceased. The Secret Service quickly responded with protective measures, and the former president is safe and being evaluated. The Secret Service spokesperson goes on to say that one spectator was killed, two spectators were critically injured, so badly hurt. The incident is currently under investigation, and the Secret Service has formally notified the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And obviously the FBI and the Secret Service have plenty more work to do here on this front. But Lester, again, significant in that this is the official confirmation that, as we have been reporting here, the suspected shooter here is dead. Two people have been badly hurt. One person was killed here in a moment that is reverberating not just in the political world, but around the country. And I will tell you, around the world, with international reaction coming in from world leaders. I want to also share with you some reaction coming in from the former
I don't know if they're bad at this.
Trump,
At this,
posting now in just the last
you never been to this.
She is thanking people for their love and
by
prayers
the front
with her
gate. They
father,
got on the golf. They got like this
today's senseless violence in
park
Butler,
kind of thing.
Pennsylvania. She says she's grateful to the Secret Service, to law enforcement officers. She
I showed
continues
you
to pray for our country, ending by
saying,
"I love you,
come
Dad."
in the front gate.
Again from Ivanka Trump today and always, Lester.
You come to the front,
Allie, thank you.
and you see it to the right.
As we near the top of the hour, we're on the air with breaking news. We have been for several hours now, following the events involving a shooting at Donald Trump's Pennsylvania rally this evening. The former president has been injured. He says he was shot, and he has just posted on Truth Social that he was hit with a bullet that pierced the upper part of his right ear. He says he felt it ripping through his skin. What I want to do here is pause for a moment, and we're going to roll the video of what happened just shortly after 6 p.m. here on the East Coast while Mr. Trump was speaking. Listen closely also to the sound of the gunshots and what's heard in the moments right after that until he is rushed
into the car. Here it is.
A little bit old, that shot. That shot's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's sad, take a look at what happened.
Let's find out how old the shooter was. I got an idea. We can go on that bench by the restaurant under that overhead and see everybody's there. Under that, where we usually go sit at that bench. That's by the bathrooms and the restaurant and the library.
Okay, yeah. Let's do that because you know what? If it's gonna get that bad.
Former President Trump said he was shot in the upper part of right ear in Truth Social post.
If they're out there too,
I don't know if I should keep my live going or. Hold on, let's get to turn this off. This is the worst it's ever been.
I'm sorry, honey.
No, it's not. No, this is the worst it's ever been.
I know. You wonder why
I don't think it's mosquitoes.
No, they're fucking brown ass bugs, and God knows what the hell they are. Oh my God. You wonder why usually I don't like to come down.
Well, it's
here.
never been this bad.
Oh, I know. At least I'm not the one that's feeling like this. Oh. I'm freaking out. This is really bad. Here's your shirt, honey. You can actually put on your shirt if it's really bothering you. That's what I did. God. Came and enjoyed the pool.
Well, we've got bits down here before, but it's never been this bad.
Oh, I know. I don't even know what the fuck they are.
These people still here.
That's what it sounds like.
If it's fireworks or.
Could be.
I can see a half moon up there.
Yeah, I see it. I feel bad. I feel like it's all my fault.
It's not your fault with the bugs, really.
I'm just saying.
Well, I want to see how it is on under something. If it wouldn't be so bad.
And if it's so bad, then what are we gonna do?
Well, we're gonna
go home.
We're gonna see how it is.
All right, I'll just ask you. That's the whole question.
Want to take this?
Don't forget your water. This is hard for me. Carrying 2 bags at once.
I wonder if I should stop my stream.
No, I wouldn't.
No.
If you're getting really good
No.
feels about it.
What are you doing?
Wait, I can't carry all. This is why I said don't never buy too much.
Well, I told you I want to get a 20 frilly.
I know, we gotta take that home. We don't have no drinks at home. We don't have no soda at home. This is really bad.
Oh, they are? Look, I do see somebody up there.
You go. I got
I've been out. I'm just gonna stop this